Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Pat. This is class number 5, and next week will be our final class, and we'll be doing an 8-ball tournament. So we'll go over a little bit more of the rules, international rules, the BCA rules, and so forth. We'll also have a guest next week. John Keeler, he's our local cue maker, is going to come in and show his wares. If anybody's interested, I do that every semester because I think it's good to talk to somebody that actually makes cues and knows all the details about how the cues are made and things like that. We have a lot to cover today, but I really want to go where you want to go and learn, kind of go over what you want to learn. I do want to cover combinations. I want to talk about banks, and I also want to do a little bit more about 8-ball. I'd like to set up a few examples of when to play safety in an actual game of 8-ball, because that's something that is really important when you start playing league and tournaments and things like that. Now, one of the things I'd like to say right off the bat on banking, and I don't want to get to that right away, but on bank shots is probably the most difficult part of pocket billiards, besides putting English on the cue ball. And I always like to tell people that banking a ball into a rail into another pocket is an art form. It's not really a science, because there's literally so many variables on a bank shot. The speed, the English, how close it is to the rail, clock, what type of rails you have. Now I'm going to teach you a few basic systems to help you bank, but they can only get you close. From there you have to adjust to all those variables that I just mentioned. So whenever I have a cut shot and a bank shot, I usually will shoot the cut shot first because it's more reliable, because I don't have to worry about hitting a rail. Okay, the quote for the day, did everybody get their handout? This kind of goes back to the very first class that we had. Oh, I think Linda did.
Yeah. 2 of them, 1, 2, 3.
This is actually from the Moscone Cup captain, Mark Wilson. He represented our country against the 5 top European players. But he actually said this: it took years of practice to come to the realization that a poor stance setup is the primary culprit in causing a poor stroke. And I always believe that, and I really try to emphasize that in the class, that once you get your body in the proper position, it's just a matter of pretty much throwing the cue at the target. But that is much easier said than done. Now, I did one thing that we haven't talked about, and believe it or not, this was an actual game. Did I show this to you, Laura? Okay. This is called target pool. And you notice there's 5 points for the yellow, 3 for the red, 2 for the blue, and all that. One of the things to be a good pool player that you really have to know is the simple fact that the center of the table is your friend, okay? Especially in 8-ball, late 8-ball. Because when you roll to the rail, you get down, at the end of the table, the high percentage shot is to get in the middle of the balls, not in the edges. So one of the drills that I like to do, and you don't need one of these, you can use a handkerchief or a napkin, but I like to set up just different cut shots like this. And what I want to do here is simply practice different cut shots and try to land the cue ball on the center of the table. And this is a good teaching tool because it'll teach you how to control the white ball. Now I think if I look at my tangent line, it should take me to here and then over to here and pretty much right on the way to the yellow. Let's see how we do. Maybe just a tad of right English. You want to get your speed just right. Not bad. I got 2 points, okay? Now again, when it hits this, it slows down a little bit. So you actually, to get it to the center, you got to hit a little harder. But lots of different shots. Let's take a different one now. Let's try. Here's one where the cue ball is going to hit up here if I don't use English. So I'm going to use a little bit more right English, come into there and try to get it on the yellow. But this might be fun for you to just to play around with and try to get the cue ball in control. Not bad, not bad. A little bit thinner cut. And a lot of times in 8-ball, especially big 8-ball, you're trying to get in and around balls. You know, in the middle, we have options, more options to play on the balls. All right, combinations. How many of you have trouble with combinations?
Oh, yes.
All right. Now, we got a lot to do today, but feel free to stop me as we go along. We're in no hurry. I don't think we're in a hurry, are we? Okay. Because these are really important shots. And the main reason I like to teach combinations is because a lot of times we pass up easy shots, okay, that are right there for us to make, but we don't see them because we haven't had the experience. Let's just take 2 striped balls, and we'll look at a typical shot that comes up in 8-ball. Let's say you've already established the stripes, okay? And you're real excited because the 11 and the 13 are lined up dead center of the pocket down there, okay? Now, the important thing about this shot is that a lot of people see a shot like this and they take it for granted. They think, well, I can't miss this. Well, watch how easy it is to miss a shot like this. If I hit the right side of the 11 ball, did you see what happened there? It threw to the left. In other words, if the cue ball contacts the right side of a frozen combination, it turns the 11 from right to left and throws the 13 to the left. So if you hit the right side, it throws the second ball to the left. If I hit the left side, it throws the second ball to the right. Because it's like gears. I hit this side of the 11, it turns it from left to right, throwing the 13 to the right. But the cool thing about these kind of combinations is, what happens if it's offline? In other words, on this particular shot, and you're welcome to get behind here if you want to get a better view. Like this particular shot, you'll notice that the 11 and the 13 are aimed significantly left of the pocket, aren't they? So in order to make the 13 from here, which side of the 11 do I need to hit in order to throw that 13 to the right? Exactly, exactly. Now, speed is a factor. The harder I hit this, the less it'll throw. If I hit it softer, it'll throw more. And you'll notice, since they're stripes, you'll see the 13 ball actually throwing and twisting to the right. You see how far that throw? It was aimed here, but actually went 2 or 3 inches to the right. Now, here's another shot that comes up all the time. Here's one where I have the 14 and the 13 aimed significantly right of the pocket. But, guess what? I've got a 12 ball in the way. All right, any suggestions on how I can make the 11 here? Okay.
Hit the 12 square, so you get a stop shot with no English. So, but hit it the 14 where you want to hit it, which is on the opposite side. Of the
Right. Okay, which side does the 12 need to hit to make the 11?
So, the right side hit over here.
Right side,
goes
exactly.
Over here.
Good, Gary. It's always the opposite.
So if you
Yeah.
get the 12
Yeah.
right here, but with stop and no English.
Okay.
No change, then you should be.
Yeah. And if I was in a league match shooting this kind of shot, I would think about position for the next shot. You know, Eric is right. So if I hit the 12 and I hit this side of the ball, it would be just like hitting the cue ball. Okay? In this case, the 12 ball would be the cue ball. So all I have to do is hit it a little bit to the right. It should throw the 11 right in the pocket. And have some fun with these. Set them up all over the table. Now, one of the things to learn is that the further away you are from the pocket, the more you can throw the ball. Okay? Let's say we got one way out here. And you'll notice I have it, the 12 and the 14 lined up, maybe 6 to 7 inches left of the pocket. Now, most of you would look at the shot like this and say it's impossible, right here. Is that possible to make it here? Well, I want you to notice that even though it's 6 to 8, 7 inches to the left of the pocket, I think I can actually make this. If I hit it nice and easy, and I hit the extreme left side of the 12 ball, it should throw it all the way over. The scratches don't count. All right.
They do in games.
Now you notice that I hit that easy, didn't you? All right, now let's take the same shot. Way back here, I have it lined up the same part of the table. Make it about the center. Now this time, instead of hitting it easy, I'm going to hit a card. Same part of that ball. And stow it in. But actually, I probably have it a little straighter there because it doesn't throw as much if you hit it harder. And that's important because speed is crucial on those kind of combinations. All right. These are the combinations that everybody has trouble with. We call these combinations where you have to cut an object ball into another ball to make it. There's no secret to these. You just have to be very precise. So like what I'll do when I have a combinations like this where they're not frozen, and these are much harder because they're harder to predict, you know, the correct spot to hit. I'll get behind the 3 and I'll actually line it up like I'm making the 5. There's my contact point where I want to hit the cue ball. Now I get back behind here, just like the laser was right on that spot, and I'll hit a half ball behind it. Swing down. And there's no real shortcut. Here, half ball behind. Oh, sorry. And have some fun with those. Set them up for each other and practice those. It's a lot of fun. Because combinations will definitely win you a lot of games.
I like it.
Now, here's a shot that I would call a game-winning shot. This comes up a lot. Now, on this shot, you'll notice that the 6 is aimed into the rail about right here. But my cue ball is way out here. And I have already established solids. So as you can see, it's very difficult to hit this side of the 4, isn't it? So how would I go ahead and make the 6 in this situation? Okay, Eric's right on. If I hit the rail first, right here, and then contact the 4 on that side, it'll throw the 6 to the right. Notice how significantly it threw it because it was aimed way over here on the rail, yet the ball got thrown that far away. Okay, any questions about these shots? Here's another shot that comes up a lot in 8-ball. A lot of times you get in a situation like this where you have solids and you literally look at this shot where you can't cut the 1 in the corner, right? And you can't make the 3 in the corner because the combination isn't on. But look at the tangent line if I hit the 1 ball into the 3. The tangent line takes the 1 directly into the center of the pocket. So literally this is a very simple shot. All I have to do is hit the 1 into the 3 and let it take the tangent line right off there into the side pocket. So those kind of shots come up all the time. We call those carom shots. And they can be all over the table. Here's another one. Now if you look the way the 2 and the 3 are frozen together, you can come over and look behind it if you like. You'll notice that the tangent line when the 2 contacts the 3 is dead center of the pocket. So all I have to do is hit the 2 pretty much straight on. Caroms directly, it takes a 90-degree line off the ball. So those are real important shots too. Here's another example. We'll do one down here in the corner pocket. Here's a shot where the cut shot is just too difficult. In other words, if I want to shoot the 3 in the corner pocket here, if I look closely, you'll notice the 3, when it hits the 7 ball, there's a perfect tangent line in the corner pocket. So literally all I have to do on a shot like this is hit the 3 into the 7, it should go right in. Those are the kind of shots that sometimes we don't look for or see on a pool table. Okay, any questions on caroms and combinations?
Make it look easy, but I know it's not.
No.
He's been shooting longer than we have.
Yeah. All right. Now we're going to talk about kicks and banks. Now, a lot of times these kind of situations come up where you're literally, you call it hooked or snookered, it doesn't matter. And you'll notice that I actually put some numbers on the table. I've got a 0 here. Can we do this in our, a 10, 20, 30, 40. Now, every kick shot, now a kick shot is when you hit the cue ball into the rail and it goes and hits another ball in the pocket. We call that a kick shot. But 0 is always where, you know, the ball where you want to make it. Now, in this particular shot, you'll notice that I'm right at 20. Now, all I have to do is divide 20 in half, and I get 10. Right? So all I have to do is roll the cue ball into 10 to make it 4. And you'll notice it's a perfect triangle, isn't it? Now, every shot, every kick shot we have hit is called a diagonal track. So if I hit a rolling ball, it should take me right into there over and over again. So that's pretty basic. But unfortunately, most shots aren't so perfectly laid out, are they? Sometimes they're out on the table and it's hard to determine exactly, you know, where your diagonal track is. But that's what I'd like to do with these numbers, is show you how to figure out your diagonal track. Now this is 0 again. Now 2010, cue ball's not on. Okay, that's one diagonal track. 10-5 is way off. Let's try 30-15. That's not quite right. But you know what? That's the closest one. 30-15. And if the cue ball was on this line from 30, all I would have to do is go into 15. but it's not quite on there, is it? So what I do is I find my closest track, which is 30-15, and I move it to the left until I find the track that the cue ball's on. So 30-15 doesn't work. Here's 28-14, 26-13. 26-13 is perfect, isn't it? That should take me right into the third. Now you see how I figured that out? I find the closest track, which is 30-15, then I try 28-14 and 26-13. In other words, it's always in halves, okay? So if I'm at 26 and I go into 13, takes me right into 13. Now I know that's using a little bit of mathematics, but once you learn this system, you can actually figure out the diagonal track of every kick shot and get really accurate. So it's worth a little bit of time to learn it. Let's do a few more examples. Here's one that's on 40-20. And again, this is another diagonal track that takes me to 0 in the corner pocket. So if I'm right on 40 and I go into 20, but let's say it's a little bit off. Let's say it's over here a little bit. Okay, my closest track is 40-20. So then I move to the left till I find the track that the cue ball's on. The next one would be 38-19. Whoa, perfect. 38-19. Did you see how I did that? I find the closest track and then move till I find the one that it's on. 38-19 should take me right into it. Okay. Now, this isn't as easy as it looks because the tables are all different and speed affects it. For example, let me show you what happens on that same shot. Let's say I'm on 38-19. Let's say I hit this real hard. Well, watch what happens. See, it came up way short. So the system only works on a rolling ball that you hit like moderate speed.
And it should carry through if you're going lengthwise on it?
Yeah, you could do this lengthwise, but let's not go there today. Okay? This will be enough. Yeah. And it's the same thing.
Lengthwise always shows up more than these.
Well, it would be, we would do 0 to 40 lengthwise, but it's a little harder to execute because of the length of the shot. That's what makes it hard. All right, let's move the ball down this way, just do a couple more examples. Let's just put the cue ball at random out here somewhere. And I'm kicking to the 13. So again, what track would I start with on this shot to get close? 20-10. Okay, it's not quite on. 18-9, 16-8. 16-8 is perfect. Did you see how I got that? Okay, 16-8. Let's try it. One more. All right, what's my closest track on this one? 30-15. Okay, good. 28-14. Not quite right. 26-13. 26-13. And again, you notice I'm hitting all those about the same speed. You know, I did a little practice on this table earlier and I kind of got a feel for that. Any questions about that? And I know that's a lot to take in, but as we come around, if you'd like to ask me questions or work on those shots, you know, these are kind of like specialty shots that come up occasionally, but they are important to actually, because if you make contact with the ball, you don't give up ball in hand. And as well, you all know if you give up ball in hand, that's one of the most difficult parts of challenges to losing a game.
I'm not sure how you got to 26. You were here at 30.
Okay.
So then you look across here, but you don't merely just go down here.
Oh no, because it's where the cue stick crosses the rail. Did you see how that works? In other words, the track is from 30 to 15, from here to there, where the diamonds are.
Yeah.
You don't count where the pool table beats. It's where the diamond is.
Okay.
The 30-15 track is like this, and if the cue ball was on that track, I could shoot there to bring it to 0. But it's not, it's a little bit over. So 30-15, it's actually 29, 14 and a half. Sorry, it's getting a little complicated. This one's actually 29, 14 and a half. Yeah, about like that, or 28, 14. But it's where the cue crosses the rail back to where the diamonds are. That's where the system works. It's not here, it's back here.
Thanks.
So if you were on this side of the pocket, say you're behind that 6 ball.
Yeah.
Does it continue 50,
Yes,
60, 70?
yes, good question. We would have 50, 60, 70, 80. Now, let's do one from here. Michelle always likes the challenging shots. All right, this one's going to be a little bit harder because it's more distance. But what's my closest track on this shot?
Well, looking at 60-30.
This is 50, right? We could do, yeah, 50-25 is my closest one.
Yeah, but you can do that. Go
And
back.
you notice I'm going all the way to where the diamond is to here. That's 50-25.
Yeah, you go back.
So let's move this way. 52-26, 54-27 is the correct one. 54-27. So if I go into 26, yeah. And the thing about using English, and Michelle caught me right there because I was using a tad of left English. I didn't really want to say that because I want you to try to use the system without English first and then adjust when you realize that systems are limited.
So if
They're limited by the clock, the table, the humidity, and all that kind of stuff.
If you're running short, what would you do to come?
Well, I would put a little running English.
That's outside English.
Yeah, in this particular shot, if
Whereas
I'm at,
outside is over to the right, yeah.
well, I wouldn't, no, actually, if it's running short, I would put a tad of left.
Yeah, okay.
Tad of left. And again, watch what happens if I use too much English. This is really why English is not always the best idea. If I use too much English on this, look at I missed by 2 diamonds. So don't get carried away with English. When you use English, just use little bits sometimes. A little bit can go a long way. That's a good point. Believe it or not, it works all the way to 80. Now again, this is 80, and that's 40. But you know what? It still works because this is where the diamond is. So to shoot through the diamond, all I have to do is shoot right through the rail like that. And it should take me right to 0. 80 divided by 2 is 40. So I'm shooting to 40 to get to 0. And I'm just going to put a tad of left.
So like if you return to play, like say this one, maybe you could do this like on the table and
Yeah.
just to see how it runs short or long.
Exactly. When I go to Phoenix to play in a tournament, I'll spend a few minutes getting the feel of the table, like kicking and banking and all that. I think that might be enough for today. Can we save banking for next week?
Sure.
Yeah.
Good luck on it.
Yeah, because that's enough to work on. I think you'll have a lot of fun kind of trying some of that out. But there was, I would like to show you some safety shots in 8-ball. Are you interested in hearing?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's do that.
There's a way to do it, I don't know.
this is really kind of a nuanced part of the game, but it's really important because these kind of shots come up all the time. Look at 3 here, and a bunch of stripes. All right, and let's kind of turn this into a challenge, okay? What we would do, let's say, let's put the 14 over there. Let's say that you have solids.
Really? That's
At this point.
I want it actually.
Okay, now you can make the 3 ball pretty easily, but to actually run out is pretty slim and none, isn't it? Because of the 5 ball is completely tied up, isn't it? So what would be the best solution, maybe to make a ball and then play safe? This would be a situation where I think I would try to make the 3 ball and then play a safety afterwards. Now, when you play a safety, there's 3 objectives. Number 1, sometimes you want to leave great distance. Number 2 on a safety is you want to hook your opponent so they can't see one of their object balls. And number 3 is you want to improve your situation somehow. Those are the 3 objectives of playing safe. So if I was actually had this shot in a real game, I would think to myself, well, I could make that 3 pretty easy. But you know what? If I roll down here and I shoot the 5 and make my opponent's 13, I can leave the cue ball stuck right behind the 1. So my opponent won't have any shot, and I can maybe get ball in hand.
Yep.
So let's see how it works out. I'll go ahead and make the 3. And then I'm going to play, I'll call safety. Look what I just did to these stripes. Stripes is all of a sudden, he's got to play a trick shot to even make a good hit on his ball. And if he does not make a good hit on his ball, you get ball in hand and look at the shots you have that are pretty easy. You can play the 1-5 combination and maybe win the game. That's an example of a good safety where I actually hook my opponent, but I also improve my position too. Because before I couldn't make the 5 and now I can. You get the idea. And again, that's very accurate. Instead of trying to figure out all the numbers on that, that's a lot simpler. So next time you get that shot, try that. Okay. Good question. That's a little
Is it legal to put your chalk down to AMAS?
No, it's definitely not legal, but I thought that would be some, when you're practicing shots like that, you can do that.
It's also not legal to chop your stick and then mark the table.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a no-no.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, one more safety shot, and this actually had happened to Prescott Tom last night, and I guess I wasn't really happy with his choice on what he did because he did end up winning the game, but I felt like he could have won it a lot easier. All right. And this is an example of another safety. There were other balls on the table. But he was in a position like this. And I think the cue ball was about like there. And he had solids. All right? Now he did something else, but what do you think would be the best thing to do in a situation like this? He had solids and he really can't make any of his balls, so how would he play safety?
Hit your ball with the 15 in.
Okay. All right. The ideal shot here is exactly what Michelle says. You want to make your opponent's ball and try to get the cue ball aligned somewhere here. So our opponent's completely hooked. And it does all three things. It snookers your opponent. It gives them distance to make a good hit. And it also improves your position because it opens up your one ball. So in a situation like this, I would make my opponent's ball. I might use a little bit of left English. You notice I had the cue ball come over here a little bit. Now my opponent has an extremely tough shot, you know, hooked on the 8 ball. So sometimes it's actually to your advantage to make your opponent's ball. Now, you see any shots from here? I know Michelle's going to ask me that, right?
You got a diamond shot. You can find it on the diamonds to hit it.
Now, I would be too afraid of hitting the 5 ball. So what I might try is call the 8 in the side pocket. Now, what I'm thinking is that I'll go into the rail right here, come back, and hit the 8 pretty straight on, so the 8 caroms off the 5. And if you look at the tangent line, the 8, if it hits just right on the 5 ball, will go in the side pocket. So actually, this is not a horrible shot, it's not easy, but I'm going to go into the rail and try to hit the 8 really square. That would be a fun shot to make in league, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, we did kicks. We used the laser a little bit, and again, if you want to try that, I'm going to wait and do banks next week. And I think that'll be a good time. Plus, we'll answer any questions you have about the class. But we will have an 8-ball tournament next week, and you're going to get a handful of chips. And every time you win a game, your opponent will have to give you a chip, and if you lose a game, you have to give them a chip. And that's how we determine the champion. And some of you remember that from last time. So. All right, grab a table and have some fun.
I can't stick around, I gotta take